guys, my name is Michael and welcome to a new GObject tutorial. Today we are going to learn something new, but before we proceed I want to be sure that you understand also those things which sometimes I'm telling you in the wrong way, because I'm talking so fast and I'm thinking so much at that point, but that I'm not 100% sure that I'm right there at the moment where I should be. What I'm trying to say, it is, you remember the last video I was telling you about something like declaring a char A and then putting a value inside it, and then we created a char B and we are assigning the value from A to B. At that point I was saying something, I don't know, like declaring char B and then it will be equal to A or something like this. Well, I hope you understand that I wasn't talking about the equality assignment. I was talking about the assignment operator, just to be sure that you understand me. Anyway, it is not important because we are not learning here C, and there are so many languages that at some point you don't even understand yourself what you are talking about, but that's another story, whatever. Anyway, I want to learn some new, but before we move I want to show you something which is very important. I'm not sure that you understood it or not, so to be 100% sure I'm going to explain you once again. So at this point here, where we call so many times the GObject set data full, at some point you saw at some point you saw that I was using GDestroy notify on the free object and I didn't use it on the use value. So why is that happening? I mean, why do I need to call the GDestroy notify on the free object? I mean, what happens if we call it? You see, it is the same call right here. What exactly happens here? Why it's not working here but it's working here? Let me compile it and run it again, just to be sure that you understand what I'm talking. You see, the fourth parameter is wrong. It is expecting a different which is a GDestroy notify, aka void, you see, function pointer, and then a void. Now, why it's not working and why it did work here? Because if we check these two functions right here, the free object and the use value, both functions are again the same, but something is different, and definitely is not about the G3, isn't it? No, it is about the thing which I was telling you, but I wasn't thinking that it's so important at that point, but I realized after I checked my video again, and this is the part right here. I use gchar message right here, so I changed the story. So basically, if you don't follow, let me go back. If you don't follow the GDestroy notify, you see it is expecting a G pointer. Because I knew I am passing a char, I just let the C to do its job, which means, as you already know, it is about the types which they are matching, if I am allowed to say like this. So basically, now I want to show you, just to be 100% that you understand, I want to show you something. So at this point I'm going to comment these two things right here, and I'm going to create a different definition for these ones, which means the modification which I'm going to do, I'm going to use gpointer data instead of the char message. I strongly suggest you to follow this rule with gpointer data like I'm doing right now, at least until you're 100% sure that you understand what to do. But if your code will be used from other people's, they really need to understand better exactly what the story is there, and just passing a char message like I did there wasn't quite a smart idea. Wasn't wrong, but wasn't the real one. So basically what we are going to do now, we are going to declare gpointer data instead of gchar message, and then we are going to assign the data to our message. Because the data returns a void, it is the implicit cast. It takes the implicit cast right here. The same thing happens also here, because once that we call this function gstring up, let's say, let us search a little bit for it, just to be 100% that you understand, because I made this mistake. Sorry guys, I didn't explain you about these things. in a matter that you need to understand. You see, the string dub returns a gchar. So basically, we are passing a gchar, and then we were saying, yes, I need the gchar, and I need to work with it. So for that reason, at that point, I had to work with the gdestroy notify. But now, because I'm passing the right pointer right here, and I'm getting or retrieving the information from that data pointer by assigning the information of the data to a gchar message, at this point you will see when I'm compiling and run the program that the program works fine and that we don't need anymore. You see, everything works fine. I'm closing hello there, which is the message which we are basically passing you right here. And now you see the free object doesn't need anymore this cast. So now I'm 100% sure that you understand where exactly do you need that gdestroy notify cast. Me, because I was not following the rule by working with a g pointer, and instead I was using a gchar as a pointer, as a parameter. The compiler was smart enough to catch this thing and said, okay, I know that the pointer it is going to convert to a char because it's a implicit conversion, but it's still not matching with the signature. So you should 100% you should give me 100% cast, and that's the reason, because now when we are casting here the free object with this one, the compiler ignores everything you do. So if something goes wrong here where you said gchar instead of gpointer data, you are on your own because you decide to make these things, and the compiler doesn't know and doesn't follow you anymore. So just remember, if you are not 100% sure that you know what to do, then just use the gpointer data like I did here. You see, because here I was using gpointer data, and that was the reason why it was working, because I was following the rules. So I let the compiler to check everything in place. Okay. So that being said, that just because now we understand exactly how it's working, and now because we know exactly how these things are useful for us, we are going to work with a new function today. And the new function which I'm going to introduce you today, it is called GObject set QData right here. Now, for this one, I had to create a new playlist. So those of you which you came now to this video and you didn't check the GQuark playlist, please go there, check the GQuark playlist, because I'm not going to explain you about what GQuark is in this video. You should already know, and if you followed that video, or maybe if you know for yourself, then you understand everything I'm talking about. Me, I'm not going to explain again what's the story with the GQuarks here. Me, I'm going to explain what's the story with the GObject get QData, because this is the thing which you need to understand. So what's the story with this one? This function gets back user data pointer store. We are GObject set QData, and the GObject set QData, it is a function which, as you can see, the first thing which takes is in an object, the same like the data or the data file. The second one is a GQuark. Indeed, at this point we have no key or identifier like we used to. Instead of that, we have a GQuark, which means that the quark, it is our naming the user data pointer. So this is the same. It is a key or information which you give it for the data when you connect it with the object. So that you understand, as you can see, we have also GObject set QData file, which basically does the same thing. We are going to talk about this later, not today. Okay, so that being said, if we call this function now, I'm going to make a lot of new, you know what, I'm going to delete everything here because it is just too much information and it's going to bring you at some point into a bad point, and I'm definitely not going to let those things happen. So what I'm going to do right now here, basically I'm going to do something interesting for you. So I'm going to say GQuark, and of course the GQuark, I'm going to say we are going to create our own GQuark from string, from style, whatever. I'm going to say from string, and I'm going to say hello there. Okay, now because we got a unique number, because this string basically doesn't exist, but if it happens that it exists, then we get that number. But I'm sure that there is no hello there quark on the system, and because we have it now, because we create now, let us call the GObject set GoData. The first one is the object, which basically we are going to work with. So at this point, I'm going to say button. GObject button, sorry. Okay, the second one will be our quark, which we just created. And the next thing which we are going to pass, the label. Now, just to be sure, we didn't delete too much. We have the grid, we have the button, and we have the label. The label and the button, they are put inside the grid. So what we did now, we create a quark from a string, from string, and once that we have this quark right here, we are passing it to the object set QData, and we are saying basically make a connection between the label and the button, and the connection should be identified through the quark. Now, because we have this information, which is very, very important for us, now we can basically work with this one, isn't it? So how would you work with this one? Well, for this, basically, we are going to take advantage of the click callback function. And I'm going to say void click callback function. That's very important. And of course, GTK button, because we need only the button. Now, before we actually define the button, I need to make some changes. So gsignal will become gsignal connect swept at this point. And of course, I'm going to replace the grid with the button. So basically, everything what happens in the click button should click callback function should be happen only on our button. So we don't need two parameters for this. And I'm going to say, of course, g return if fail button. So if the button is not a button, then you know what happens. And now watch g quark, and we are going to say g quark from string. And of course, which string do we need? Well, the string which we did here. Now, because we have the string, too much double quotes, sorry. Now, because we have it, we can work with it. So how? Well, GTK label is equal to GTK, the same story. We need the okay, I'm kind of missing here some functions. I need to get data right here. GObject get QData, we need it. So, and of course, we are going to pass the two things which we did here, the quark and the button. The same things should happen here as well. Nothing special. Now, because we have it, we can print it. So g print. How we're going to do it? I decide to do something like this. The label text is %s GTK label get label, and of course we are going to pass our label. What exactly happens here? Let us check again. We create a quark from string by passing the hello there as a string. Once that we have a unique quark, we are calling GObject set data, and we are connecting the label with our button together with this identifier or this key or name, call it quark. And then once that the button signal, signal, it is catched on our button, this click call will be called. Here we are checking if the button, it is indeed a button, because it is and should be. We are declaring gquark, and we are retrieving the gquark from string, and we know the hello there should be that unique name or the key or the identifier. Now we have the quark. Because we have the quark, now we can call the GObject get data, and we are passing basically the button, the object, and the name, the key which we needed. So once we pass the key, now we can retrieve the information which we needed. In this case, our label, because we need the label. And because we have the label, you see, I didn't use the GTK widget. I used directly GTK label. And with the help of GTK label set label, we are retrieving the information which we are setting right here when we creating the label. So the message which we did pass to GTK label new was click the button to remove the label. So once that we compile it and run it, we have a problem. Yes, it's missing the break. Okay, let me compile it and run it again. You will see that once that we click the button to remove label, it will be printed in our console. You see, the text label is click the button to remove the label. So as many times do we click this one, we see that message. Maybe if we use a new line, it will look much better than without. Which means now when we click the button, you see the message on its own line. As you can see, works fine. So basically, this is the thing which does the GObject set quark data. You see, it is not something special. Don't treat it like something special, because once that you understand the GObject set data, then the main difference between that one and this one, it is that the set data needs something, a string, like an identifier, for example, a message or a value or whatever. And in the case of our GObject set quark data, it needs a quark. And we create a quark in the main function, and we declared another quark variable inside the clicked callback function, from where, with the help of that one, we retrieve in the quark from the string, and then we can work with that so that we can manipulate or give some different values for the label. I don't know which one. So GTK label set label hello, whatever. It's your decision. What exactly are you going to do with that label once that you got access to it? Now passing the first one to set label, it is hello, but we need of course the label. So label and then the message. My bad. And now of course we get something. Why? Let's see. Yes, because I'm not where I have to be. I wanted to do it right here. So I guess inside the callback function, I wanted to call the GTK label set label, so that we change the label. Now we have clicked the button to remove the label, and now we have the hello. You see, we made some modification to our application, and we know now how the GTK GTK object set quark data works. That being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.